became a good enough mom, I used to be a pediatric occupational therapist for many years, and I loved helping children develop their gross and fine motor coordination, their visual perception, helping them to deal with emotional problems that they were experiencing, and helping them deal with their environment if they were over or undersensitive. But when I became a mom, I decided to put away all my occupational therapy equipment and my educational toys, put away all my books and developmental tables, and just let my children grow and develop at their own rate. But what was really funny is that whenever we went to play with other children, and I would maybe stop over for a cup of coffee or tea with the moms, they would be so apologetic about the toys that their children had. And they would scratch into the back of the cupboard and take out all the educational toys to show me that they were appropriately stimulating their children. And when they came to visit our house, I could see they were really inquisitive. They wanted to see what my children were playing with. What type of toys were in the cupboard? What type of stimulating activities did I do with my kids? How did I deal with them when they had a tantrum? So, because I know moms out there are really inquisitive to see what do occupational therapist children play with, I thought I'd share with you today what my children play with. Now, there are many different occupational therapists, and each of us are people in our own right, and we think differently and we bring up our children differently. So today I'm actually taking off my occupational therapy hat and just putting on my mom hat. And as a mom who happens to be an occupational therapist, I want to show you what my children play with and the advantages I see with these toys. I'm not going to be giving you a long list of all the things that they develop, but if I know that this is a good toy for this reason, I'd like to share that with you today. Let's begin. Your child needs you. You as a parent, you as a loving caregiver, whatever you are to a child that you love, your child needs to spend time with you. Nothing in the world compares to the time they spend with you. No toy, no activity, no extramural stimulation that you can provide will replace the benefit that they get from spending time with an adult that loves them and cares for them. Spend time talking to your children and playing with them. I'm not saying that you have to spend 24 hours every single minute of your day trying to stimulate your child and play with your child. But at some point in the day, put aside your cell phone. Put aside the stress of work and finances and relationships and spend an enjoyable moment with your child. Try to recall some of the things that you enjoyed as a child and bring that energy and excitement into your own child's life. Nothing can replace the time that you spend with your child. I'm not saying this to try and make you feel guilty, but rather to encourage you to spend time with your children. They are actually quite cool little people, and it takes spending time with them for you to see that. If it so happens that you need to work a few extra hours to buy one of those toys that I'm going to mention today on this list of toys that I have, or you can spend those hours rather with your child, then I would like to say to you today, don't work those extra hours to get the toy. Rather spend that time with your child. A brother or sister. I'm saying this a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but a brother or sister helps your child to learn so many skills that no toy can teach them. A brother or sister teaches them social skills, life skills like turn-taking, conflict management, sharing. A brother or sister will help them to run faster, climb higher, think quicker than they would have if they did not have one. Obviously, I know it's not possible for every parent to provide a sibling for their child. So if you do have an only child, then I really encourage you to let them spend time with other children, preferably the same few children, regularly, so that they can also experience some of the benefits that a brother-sister relationship would have given them. Nature. We are really lucky to have quite a big garden, so I send my children out to go play in the garden every single day. It is great to have things like a jungle gym, a trampoline, a little Wendy house, kitchen toys to play in the garden, a big tree. It is great to have them, but it is not essential. Children use their imagination to think up anything to play with in nature. It's no problem at all if you don't have a garden of your own, but it will mean that you will need to put a little bit more initiative into taking your children out into nature. Whether it is going on walks, going to a public park, or just a wide open space somewhere close to your home. Construction toys. There are so many different types of construction toys available these days, from wooden bricks to Playmobil and Meccano, and all of these are fantastic, and you can choose any one of them. For us, we started collecting Duplo and Lego for our children, and have over the years built up a really big collection. To me, it makes a lot more sense to just get one type of construction toy rather than a little bit of this and a little bit of that the children can only make a small thing with. Whereas we have chosen Duplo and Lego, and the children have got more and more so they can build more and more complex items. Construction toys are great for hand-eye coordination, fine motor control, planning, spatial perception, perseverance, concentration, following instructions, and so much more. I like having people included into the construction set. It helps to create a little purpose to build something for your little person. It promotes imaginative play, and it helps them to practice various social situations in a play form. It is also great to have things included like wheels, ropes, hinges and pulleys so that they can learn some basic mechanics. There are two regrets that I have when it comes to our construction toys. Firstly, we got too many, too fast. Small children get overwhelmed really easily. I think looking back, it would have been better to have just got a few blocks in a small set and let our children play with that. Even as an adult, it feels like, oh, but this is not enough to do anything with. The children get overwhelmed when they have too much to play with. Secondly, don't give them construction toys that are above their current ability. I made this mistake. My oldest child is 3 years older than my second child, and when she was old enough to transition from Duplo onto Lego, I decided that my younger child would enjoy playing with Lego too. So I took away all the Duplo and just let them play with the Lego. But unfortunately, the Lego was too difficult to play with for my younger child, and it caused him to have so much frustration whenever he played with it, because he just did not have the ability to build the things properly. And so to this day, although he loves playing with Lego, he only plays with a completed project. He hates building any type of Lego project. And I think looking back now, if I'd let him play with a Duplo for another 3 years, like I did with my older child, he would have enjoyed the building part too. Arts and craft supplies. I love having all sorts of age-appropriate arts and craft supplies around. My children can use them with or without my assistance. We have stacks of paper, and this need not be brand new paper. It can be old invoices that have got a white side on the other side. Cardboard, and once again it need not be brightly colored beautiful new cardboard. It can just be from the back of a cereal box. Recycle boxes, crayons, cookies, paint, etc, etc, etc. The one thing that I see with many parents and teachers is that they seem to think that their kids' art must be all Pinterest worthy. And so they get the most beautiful art projects on Pinterest and let their children follow along, step by step. This is great, and it teaches your child to follow instructions, and they get to spend some time with you, and they have a beautiful end product at the end. But kids also need time to be creative, to do whatever they are in the mood for. And the end product is usually not so perfect. So my kids are forever drawing and colouring and painting and cutting and gluing. But to be perfectly honest, most of it will never be exhibited somewhere. The benefit is to practice fine motor coordination, develop hand muscles, and to express their creativity by trying to do new things. Books. We have a lot of books, and reading is part of our everyday routine. For the little ones, I read to them every evening, a Bible story and another book of their choosing. And if they wake up early and come snuggle in bed with us in the morning, they very often bring a book along for me to read to them. And on rainy days when we sit in front of the fire, it is lovely to sit and read a book. Now with lockdown and not being so busy with extramural activities, we've also instituted a reading hour every afternoon. This also gives me a break, and it encourages my older children to spend some time reading. Reading a physical book has so many advantages. It encourages a love of reading. It improves language skills, helps with concentration, and develops creativity and imagination. It teaches them a wide variety of facts and widens their worldview. It helps them to learn the sequence of things and to see what the consequences of various behaviors are. Let your children have their own dolls. I use the term dolls very broadly to include any type of action figures, Lego men, army men that boys would love too. Dolls are obviously easier to include in this category. With big dolls they can dress and care for. But boys can have baby dolls too. We want to encourage them to be good dads one day. Children can also have small dolls like Barbies and all the accessories that come with them, or any other type of small doll range that you choose. My oldest daughter got her first Sylvanian set when she was 5 years old, and ever since then, every time she gets money for birthdays or Christmas, she still buys more Sylvanian sets, even though she's 13 years old. She plays with her Sylvanians every single day, and I've decided that I would prefer to spend money on a small little doll that she plays with every day than on a big thing that she only plays with once in a while. Dolls are excellent in that children can play out everyday situations over and over again, especially situations that they may experience as stressful. It allows them to practice different ways of responding to the situation and seeing what the consequences are to the other people in the situation. It can also encourage your children to be very creative. Instead of buying all the accessories needed for your child's dolls, rather encourage them to try and make them themselves. All the dressing and fighting and driving the little dolls around in little cars help with fine motor coordination, practical hand function like doing buttons and tying knots, and midline crossing. Puzzles. Puzzles are another thing that we do often and we have a lot of. But all different types of puzzles, for all different ages, and for the day that they feel like building puzzles, they can choose what they would like to build. Puzzles really stimulate so many different abilities in a child. They help them with fine motor coordination, matching, visual perception, spatial relations, concentration, and so much more. So I'd really encourage you to help your children to build puzzles. But once again, I really want to caution you when it comes to puzzles. It's really important not to choose puzzles that are too difficult for your children. This discourages them and it makes them think that they can't do it. So start small. Start with easy things that they look at and think, I can do that. Rather choose a puzzle like that than something that is too difficult and makes them demotivated to try again.
Screens. Now this is a tricky and controversial one, and people have strong views for and against the use of screens. With screens, I include any device that has a screen: phones, tablets, computers, and televisions. If you choose not to expose your children to screens, I think that is great, and your child will certainly experience many advantages from doing so. Longer attention span, better fine and gross motor coordination, and often better behavior. But as for our family, our kids do use screens. A lot. From a young age. And there are also advantages in learning to use technology. Kids learn how to use technology so much quicker than us oldies. So it makes sense to me to let them learn when they can do so easily. They learn eye-hand coordination and spatial skills. They learn to problem solve and deal with frustration and so many more skills. But screens and gaming is definitely addictive, and it has been designed to be addictive. So we do limit our children's exposure to screens. I'm a bit hesitant to tell you what our arrangement is at the moment, especially in this unusual year with lockdowns and limited social events, because I still think it is too much screen time. But here goes. Our little kids can play a game on a screen for half an hour and watch a DVD in the late afternoon every day. Our older kids can have 2 hours of any type of screen time a day. You will have to decide what you think works for your family. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. So now for the real deal.
My house is always a mess, with 4 busy, creative, out-of-the-box thinkers playing every day. My house generally is one big busy mess. Everyone is either busy with a project or playing with a game at all times, and it feels like we are forever tidying up. Before every meal, every evening, every time we think guests are going to come. And my children are always a mess. They are usually either full of mud or full of paint, or their hair is standing on end from jumping on the trampoline. But all this messiness and all this tidying up is worth the while to have happy, healthy, well-stimulated, creative, independent children. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you again next week. Bye!